There's been a disease spreading for a few years now. It's infected the For You pages of every app you can think of. A parasite has nestled its way into every artist, team, and label's marketing plan. I'm talking about, of course, the Hanging Mic video. For the past few years, the Hanging Mic performance video has become one of the most common pieces of content for artists, especially in hip-hop. But more and more, we're seeing it across all genres. Platforms like Color Studio have been doing this for mostly an R&B or pop-leaning audience for a long time. If you're a rapper, then platforms like 4Shooters Only or On The Radar, okay, the mic isn't hanging on the radar, but let me cook, are an excellent opportunity to showcase your skills and maybe even go viral. The batting average for virality with these clips is pretty high. And that's to say nothing of all the people trying to impersonate these platforms by hanging a mic all on their own. Follow me here and let's think about some of the newer artists that have broken out in the last year or so. There are a couple on this channel that I've even covered myself. Ian, 4Bats, Tommy Richmond, Sniper 2004, Cash Cobain. Ian's done them, 4Bats has done them, Sniper 2004 just did one, Cash Cobain has done one. Tommy Richmond might not have done it, but he's had plenty of live performance clips go viral, like the Spotify clip that had people discussing his live vocal abilities. He sounded great to me, by the way. And he even performed on Jimmy Kimmel, so I'll say that he's a little bit of an outlier here. Either way, that's 4 out of 5 of the artists that I've named so far, performing in front of a mic for social media clips. Why is this strategy so popular today in 2024? And just over the past few years in general, why can't you open your phone anymore without seeing one of these? There's something about the hanging mic that seems to make people stop in their tracks and listen. Today we're going to unpack the multiple reasons why I think this is such a popular strategy, and what it says about artists and fans in today's day and age. But first, if you like videos on music like this, I'd really appreciate a like and subscribe. I post a video every week. If you want to see them early, go to my Instagram, HADJI, throw me a follow, and join my broadcast channel. I post all my videos in there one day early. Also wanted to say thank you for the love on my most recent song, Showtime. If you like the instrumental playing in the background, it's from that, so you can go check it out. I'll put the link to the video in the description. And last but not least, if you're in New York, I'm playing a show on September 7th, this Saturday coming up, and it's for a great cause. All of the proceeds go towards the PCRF. If you want to come support, it's at Snowdonia in Astoria. If you're in LA, stay tuned. I'm hoping to do a show out there very soon. Back to the video. Before we get into why the hanging mic video strategy is so popular, I think it's important to try to understand the history of it. I mean, it should go without saying that artists have been singing into mics for music videos since music videos have existed. But in terms of these platforms on social media that bring artists on and have them perform, I think a good place to start is right here on this platform, on YouTube. One of the earliest platforms on here to really take advantage of repeatable live performance videos was NPR, who posted their first Tiny Desk concert with the singer Laura Gibson in 2009. As the story goes, the NPR music team went to see her set at a loud bar with a terrible sound system, and they could barely hear her, so they were like, hey, why don't you come play by our office in a couple weeks? In the video, the show's creator, Bob Boylan, even says, hey, maybe this is the start of something.
So we're gonna videotape this for our blog, and maybe it's the start of something, and maybe it's not, but we're certainly glad to have Laura Gibson here today.
It definitely was. At almost 10 million subscribers, NPR Music has one of the most popular platforms for this kind of content. The premise of NPR's Tiny Desk concerts, which I'm sure you've seen before if you're watching this channel, is that artists come by the NPR office and perform a stripped down set for the employees. The production value has gotten much better, but the premise has remained the exact same. Boylan himself described why he thinks it works so well in an interview with Vox in 2016. There was something that happened there I never would have imagined. It was the intimacy, as I've come to understand it. There was nothing between you and artist. There was no silly music video of someone running through a field. It wasn't lip synced. No reverb, studio niceties. Just Laura's voice coming through a beautiful microphone. Humble. It just worked. It turned out the audience loved feeling like it was just them and the artist in the room. Within a few years, more and more channels on YouTube started trying some sort of live performance format. The first earlier platform that came to my mind was Kinda Neat, which was a podcast that also had artists do a live performance afterwards. Their YouTube channel was created in 2013, and they had a focus on more underground hip-hop kind of stuff. But some of the artists who found their way onto the channel have now become gigantic. In front of that magazine background, we got early career appearances from people like Kali Uchis, Anderson .Paak, Kyle, and even an indie act like TV Girl. A few of these videos banged into the 20 to 30 million views range on YouTube, which is crazy. Unfortunately, it looks like the podcast and the channel have not been updated since 2021, but in an Instagram comment from 2 years ago, I saw the host say that they were just chilling and focusing on being a dad. It's pretty wholesome. Kinda Neat feels like a prototype of sorts for some of the hanging mic performance platforms that we see today. There are also other platforms like Audio Tree that did something similar, but with more of a gear focused towards indie and alternative artists. In 2016, one of the most popular and most recognizable platforms for this kind of performance content started their channel. Colors Studios was founded by Philip Stark, an advertising employee in Berlin, Germany who was burnt out from his day job and wanted to start this new platform for discovering artists. He wanted a particular aesthetic, so he hit up his friend Felix Glassmeyer, who was a fashion photographer living in New York, to design the project with him. The premise is simple: bring talented artists on, give them nothing but a hanging microphone and a clean, single-colored background, and let them go crazy. Today, the platform has over 7.5 million subscribers on YouTube, and it boasts some huge videos like the Billie Eilish "I Don't Wanna Be You Anymore" performance, with a whopping 188 million views. Beyond just view counts and boring numbers, the simple yet immediately recognizable branding of Colors Studios has allowed it to have a particular place in the culture. Gunna, for example, did a performance of his song Top Off on the Colors Studios channel that became such a success for him that he actually recreated the hanging mic at one of his live shows at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn. The channel also evolved to become about more than just raw vocals. McGee, as I covered in my video on him, brought his guitar to his Colors Studios performance so he can show off his unique playing style. Another underrated predecessor to the on the radar or for shooters only genre of performance videos that we have today is hip-hop's radio freestyle. The Breakfast Club and Hot 97's interview and freestyle appearances were some of hip-hop's most popular forms of content in the 2000s and 2010s. To say nothing of Power 106's LA Leakers freestyles or Sway's Universe 5 Fingers of Death. Like, there are so many examples of amazing freestyle platforms. As radio's importance has slowly ceded to more freeing forms of talk content like podcasts or even YouTube commentary channels like this, so has their influence on the live performance segments. You still get the occasional viral radio freestyle, like Tyler the Creator's one with Funkmaster Flex in 2019. This is not to say that these platforms are no longer important, or that they no longer have any influence, because that's just flat out not true. It's just that with the internet and the algorithm being the main source of everything these days, you no longer need to be affiliated with a major radio station to have a live performance platform. Enter On The Radar. The green background has become ubiquitous over the last few years in hip-hop. What began as a platform for New York artists in particular has exploded into something with immediate cultural meaning and influence. Gabe P., the founder, was working as an intern for Angie Martinez at Power 105.1 as he built up his own platform. If you go on their YouTube channel, you can dig through years and years of interview content and early freestyles before things started to blow up. I was finding stuff with under 100 views, which is crazy, but right from the beginning, they were mixing in freestyle videos with their interview pieces. The first On The Radar freestyle was the rapper AK Tyler, rapping over Nas's Uchi Wally beat in September of 2018. It looks much more like one of the radio freestyles of the past than it does like the On The Radar platform does today, which helps us understand the lineage that led to On The Radar becoming what it is today. Gabe P worked at a radio station, so he was learning from these old freestyle platforms and taking that and making it its own thing. Things really started to kick off for On The Radar after the pandemic. Gabe and the team moved studios and started coordinating the green color scheme. The first video I could find where Gabe P introduces himself before the artist starts freestyling, which is a signature move now, was in July of 2021. The views really started to climb once they started to bring some popular New York drill artists onto the platform, which happened in the later half of 2021. At first there were drill artists like the late E.Baby or Nas EBK, but the big one came in October when D-Thang hopped on the platform. And 19 million views and counting later, a star was born and a platform was exploding in popularity. This is HADJI lore, but I work at a high school in the Bronx, and every time I hand out laptops to my kids, I will see an On The Radar freestyle pop up on the computer, guaranteed. New York stars like 41, Ice Spice, and the aforementioned Cash Cobain have all been on the platform. But it was Drake and Central C in July 2023 that really took everything out of the stratosphere. Now the green background is so ubiquitous that even when artists aren't actually going on the platform, they're using AI to pretend like they did, which is what Bryson Tiller did for his freestyle. The people on The Radar didn't like that very much, but it's another example of AI taking over music. On another corner of YouTube is For Shooters Only, which does the From The Block series, the platform that Forbats and Ian used to really gain some steam. For Shooters Only was founded by Zay Williams, who used to shoot music videos in Chicago before he started this platform. He shot videos like Love No Thotties and Macaroni Time for Chief Keef, and Red Ops for 21 Savage, and was already established in the music industry as a video guy and had relationships with a lot of artists before he had the idea for the Hanging Mic and the From The Block series. The crazy thing is, for as successful as For Shooters Only is, his personal YouTube page still has twice as many subscribers. This guy's a legend. He sat down for an interview with Cinepax last month. It's a great listen. He's a really interesting guy. I definitely recommend checking out the full thing, and I'm going to put the link in the description. And he actually described the moment where he came up with the idea.
Like, we just be driving and thinking of ideas, and I was just like, I'm gonna hang a mic in the hood.
He also talks about the fact that everybody's doing it now.
Like, soon as I hung the mic, it's like literally worldwide. It was people in every city outside hanging microphones.
So this ties into the first reason why these platforms are so popular today. They're endlessly repeatable. Anybody with a camera can do a video like this. All you have to do is go on Amazon and type in hanging mic, and for 25 bucks, you can get this guy and a wire, and figure out how to hang it, and then you're good to go. I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I'm not a part of the problem here. I had this song Leah Michelle that I had played while I was on Timbaland's live stream on TikTok, and Timbaland went crazy for it.
Coffee, bro. Hey!
So I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I think I have to drop this. I honestly had made that song just for fun, but I knew if a legend was telling me it was great, I probably had to let it rip. A lot of my music blends genres and will have a little bit of hip hop here or there. I might rap on a verse or something, but this was like a straight up rap song. And I hadn't dropped a song like that in a while, so immediately my mind went, damn, I need to hang a mic somewhere. So I just took one of the crappy mics that I had lying around my house, and we hung it from my upstairs window down so that I could stand out the window and have the mic hanging there. It was easy to do, and it took literally no planning. So it's no wonder why so many artists do the hanging mic thing. It's easy. Forget about other people like me taking the ideas for a second. Just look at how many performances On the Radar and 4 Shooters Only post. On the Radar drops as many as 4 performances a day. Over the past 2 weeks, 4 Shooters Only has averaged 1 from the block performance per day. Not only is this content repeatable for the copycats like me, but it's also relatively easy for the original people to just keep pumping these ideas out and just shooting them out into the algorithm. Not every one of them is gonna hit, but you have to understand that in 2024, the name of the game is volume shooting. Sorry for the sports reference for those who don't care about sports, but you basically have to be J.R. Smith. You just gotta chuck shots and not worry about how many of them are gonna land. The second reason, and what I believe is the real driving force behind Ian and Forbats' success, also somebody like Dave Blunt's, who I haven't covered in a video but I've talked about a little bit. The artist and mic setup allows the viewer to focus in on who the artist is, what they look like, and how they sound, and what they're saying. Basically, the fact that there are no frills involved in the setup, no special effects or crazy movie magic, no Hype Williams music video type approaches. You're just thinking, who is this guy and what are they about to say? With Forbats, he walks up with the shiesty, but then he sings in this softer, maybe pitched up, kind of Brent Faiyaz-y voice, and it catches people off guard. With Ian and his From the Block viral moment, he's rapping on these 2006 Atlanta beats, while looking like a regular white kid, surrounded by what looks like the rest of his real white family having a nice little dinner on the patio. Again, there are no crazy special effects, no plot line, not even a big budget. I guess depends on what they ate for dinner. No rented cars. It's just you and the artist and a hanging microphone. And it's much easier for your brain to pay attention to who the artist is. At a time when artists are having a harder and harder time breaking through and getting people to pay attention and care about them. The third reason has to do with retaining that attention. During my video about Tyler the Creator's comments, I accidentally stumbled into something that I've now been thinking about ever since. In the history of recorded and sold music, music has usually only had to compete with other music for your attention. When the radio was number one, people mostly used it to flip between different channels of music. Sure, there were channels for news and sporting events, and also the radio seems to always be on commercial time and not music time. But in general, stations were and still are competing with other stations that are playing music by also playing music. Even when MTV and VH1 and other music video channels became a thing, artists were making music videos that were meant to compete with other artists' music videos on those music video channels. Somebody in the 80s and 90s would flip between MTV and VH1 and say, hey, I want to see some music videos right now. And that's what they would get. It was a deliberate decision, at least before MTV started showing 23 hours of ridiculousness every day. In the early days of the internet becoming the prominent source of music discovery, it was more of the same. Whether you were downloading music legally on iTunes or through more dubious methods like LimeWire or Napster, you were mostly sifting through songs to put them on your MP3 player. Yes, all of those services also might have had TV shows or videos or movies, but they kind of put them in separate categories. Even when blogs became the primary source of music discovery, they were mostly just posting songs. So your post about your song is just going to be compared to another blog post about another song as somebody scrolls through the platform. Today's algorithm does not work like that. Now, these clips of artists performing or posting their songs are on the same TikTok, Instagram, YouTube feeds with clips of podcasts, of comedians doing crowd work, of sports, of cute animals, of core videos, of news, of Big Justice and the Rizzler, of literally everything. So now your music content has to compete with literally everything on earth for attention. There aren't really dedicated feeds to video-based music discovery. Although you can tell that Spotify is trying to start something like that with its clips feature, but that's a topic for another day. This is why some artists get on social media and post literally everything but music. Sometimes it can be hard for music to compare against people giving the boom or doom test to a double chunk chocolate chip cookie. You might be asking, what does the hanging mic phenomenon have to do with all this? Well, I think that with how quickly people flip through social media, having immediate visual cues that tell them what content they're about to engage with helps them internalize what it is so that they can process what they're about to see and whether or not they're gonna like it or not. For example, if you're scrolling through TikTok or Instagram Reels and you see a guy standing on a stage, no instruments behind him, kind of hands in his pockets, maybe pacing a little bit, he's holding the microphone, he's kind of looking around, you know that's a comedian doing crowd work. Good luck getting through your For You page without finding a comedian doing crowd work these days. Now, if you're somebody who likes comedians, you might stop and wait to see what the person's gonna say, even if you don't recognize that comedian. The hanging mic visual cue does the same thing for musicians who are about to show you a song, whether they're gonna sing or rap or do whatever it is that they do. When you see the hanging mic, your brain goes, okay, this guy is about to perform. Let's hear what he has going on. Then when you combine that with the image versus sound phenomenon that you see with artists like Ian and Forbats, you're fully immersing yourself in the world and personality of the artist. When algorithm-driven forms of social media, like TikTok and Instagram Reels, first started becoming the main way for music to be discovered, plenty of artists could have one song go viral. Sometimes they weren't even in the videos that went viral. Think about dance trends where a famous TikToker would pick a kind of unknown song and then it would become huge. Or even like the underground rappers who blow up because car guys use their songs in like car videos. This is obviously great for the artists at first. You know, their song gets a ton of popularity, bunch of new listeners, streams, probably get labels breathing down their necks trying to give them money to lock them up for the rest of their lives. However, so many of these artists hit a wall after that song. There are so many commentary videos on YouTube telling you what happened to this TikTok artist, what happened to that TikTok artist. How do you follow it up and get lucky a second time? It's not about whether the songs are good or bad. It's, can I get an organic movement of somebody else using this sound again? It's a very hard thing to control as an artist without spending a lot of money. The reason why so many artists fail to do it again and again in an easy manner is because the artists themselves are not recognizable. They might have made a recognizable song, but that doesn't matter when you're trying to promote the next one, because they have a recognizable song, but not a recognizable brand. And that severely limits the potential for turning their viewers into future fans. This hanging mic visual content is one piece of a strategy that centers around showing who the artist is, what they look like, who's the person behind the song going viral, so that you will recognize them the next time that you see them. It's an updated meta to the earlier versions of music virality, trying to fill in the gaps for the artists where their sound would go viral, but the artists themselves weren't going viral. So another reason that I have now is only possible after these platforms gain enough popularity on their own to become recognizable. But since On the Radar and From the Block are so immediately recognizable, this is already starting to apply. Creative artists can take advantage of those platforms and start playing around with them to mess with your expectations, because the audience has an expectation now. Take Sniper 2004, for example, an artist that I covered a couple months ago. He just went on the Radar and then he took his On the Radar clip and slapped one of his aesthetic filters over it so that it fits with the rest of his content. And it's kind of like an in-joke, but it's also like, that's exactly what Sniper 2004 would do on the Radar. It's created this whole meta concept. Some artists go on the Radar and instead of rapping, they sing their hearts out. Like Dende, who went on with his guitarist Billy Blunt and sang his ass off and showed off his natural vocal abilities. Another artist who did that recently is Greek. It plays on the same expectations thing that you talked about before. The fans see the green background and they're like, this dude's about to rap. And then they hear them sing and they're like, damn, this is beautiful. But rather than it being about the artist's image, it's about the overall platform's image. It's a little more meta, if you get what I'm saying. One of my favorite examples of an artist messing around with the On the Radar format is the Delivery Boys freestyle, where all of them killed it, but Lost Boy BK really stood out when he went on and rapped over the Kesha song Die Young. Not the instrumental, like the actual song. Check out a little clip of it.
All these niggas be acting like hoes. I never do laundry, don't know how to fold. I'm stuck dissing the niggas that cross me, they say that I'm crazy but tough.
This went viral and it got the Delivery Boys a lot more eyes, which they deserved. Now that On the Radar is an established enough platform, people can go on there and subvert the expectations of it to make a meta type of statement and promote themselves even further than they could with like a traditional freestyle. The last point that I want to make about why these things are so ubiquitous and so easy to do for artists is when we think about things like Color Studios, and you think about things like the NPR Tiny Music Desk, artists really have to be able to sing to go on those. And now I'm not trying to knock the talents of the artists who go viral on 4 Shooters Only, the artists who go viral and On the Radar. Some of them are using their real voices. Not all of them are. Not everybody's actually performing. But these types of content now, like, you don't even really have to perform. Some people might, be repulsed by that idea. But at the end of the day, some people are great live performers. Some people are great songwriters. Some people are amazing at music production and vocal manipulation, and they can make things that sound really cool. But when it comes time to stand in front of a mic without the right settings, it might not hit the same. But these platforms, the visual cue of the mic, just allows people to feel like they're being performed to, even when the vocals maybe aren't happening right in the moment, if you get what I'm saying. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. For people who really prefer their artists to sing a particular way, maybe it's not going to be for you. I'm obviously biased. I'm not like a classically trained singer, but I like making R&B music. I like making a lot of different kinds of music and making my voice sound as cool as it can. I also love T-Pain and autotune and stuff like that. So for me, it's cool. But I think for a lot of people, maybe like it turns them off a little bit. But it is one of the reasons why these things are so popular. Because before, when it was just Color Studios and it was just Tiny Desk, you only wanted the best performers to go on there. Now, it doesn't really matter. And it's kind of democratized the concept of the live performance video. Does that make sense? I don't think the hanging mic epidemic is going away anytime soon. It's easy, yet effective. Repeatable, yet distinct. And it has room for traditional performances to shine through, or for people to get attention off playing with the format itself. While it feels like a trend that fell out of the sky 2 or 3 years ago, it's really just a logical evolution of something that's existed for decades at this point. It's something that's been on my mind and definitely been on my feed for a while now, so I wanted to take a look at it. I'm considering going on one of these platforms as an artist to check it out, filming some of that and talking about it. So if that's something that you guys want to see, let me know. And let me know what you want me to talk about next. Peace.